Anyway, let's let's watch the video.
Professional fighters live and die by the sword. In a sport where every punch takes its toll, only the best can stay on top for long. And in the UFC, no one has lived by that code more than Max Holloway.
Damn, it's raining outside.
Bless. And Bless Air is full effect. Bless Express is coming to town. Don't get off the stop here and let's keep going.
So this is the story of the man who built the most beautiful, brutal style in UFC history, and what it eventually cost. Max Holloway's fight began way before he ever set foot in the cage. Growing up in the poor part of Honolulu, his upbringing was far from easy.
My dad wasn't in my life at all, you know.
Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. That's pretty rough. Like, I couldn't really imagine myself without parents. Like, really, you need your parents in your life. Like, if you want to, like, be a better man, I would say get yourself a mother or a father. It doesn't really matter what kind of father or what kind of mother. Like, it doesn't have to be biological. I don't mean like whatever type of mother. You need good mother, a good father figure, and whatever your parents are is gonna shape you in life, and that's the thing. Okay, absolutely.
I mean, I could only remember a handful of times maybe from like the age of like, I didn't even, a couple times from 0 to 5 and then kind of gone after that. And then I kind of saw him around like 8 to 10. And then, you know, my mom, you know, she's all good. She's all better now, but everybody, drug addiction here was crazy, you know, and she had her problems.
Living in one of the most economically depressed communities in Hawaii, the future didn't look particularly bright for Holloway. High unemployment, high poverty, high crime, not the postcard version of the islands we all know. And while many of his friends and family struggled with drugs and impoverishment, Max always knew he wanted more from life. But for a random kid in Waianae, without any money or particularly good
Avenge Topuria? Well, the thing with Topuria is he was too cocky, and that was his downfall. Really, he went into the fight and thought that he could like dog walk Gaethje, which you cannot do. You cannot do. Gaethje is one of the toughest men in the UFC. Point blank, he maybe is like the toughest, I think, middleweight ever. Like, I don't think you can comprehend how tough this guy is. He eats 2 shots to give 1. And then Topuria thought, okay, I'm just gonna dog walk him. I'm just gonna run into him, start fast, which by the way shouldn't work because Topuria is a slow starter. In fact, so he went against his instinct while also trying to fight against one of the toughest men alive. That is insane. That is not something that should happen. Is a error on his part. Really, it's the only thing. It's an error on his part.
education, climbing up the ladder would be a very tough task. Soon we saw that resilience was Max Holloway's defining trait, both inside and outside the cage. And sports, as they often do, provided him a way out of struggle.
I tell my grandma, I'm gonna be an MLB player. She's like, okay, good. But you know he gotta go to college, right? I was like, yeah, and what's the problem? She's like, we don't have money for college, so you need to go get a scholarship. So I'm like, okay, dope. So I made school. I ended up graduated cum laude and stuff because I thought I was gonna play. I wanted to play MLB. I wanted to go to college, get a scholarship. But anyway, 10th grade came.
Well, the thing about Topuria is he is a grappler first and a striker second. What I mean is he learned wrestling and jiu-jitsu way before he even learned striking. So he ain't even a striker. He is a grappler who's trying to be a striker. That's what he is. He is a grappler trying to be a boxer, which, by the way, is incredible. He has gone a long way from where he was in the beginning. But octagon, you mean? Not the hexagon. Yeah, it's alright. But you understand what I mean. But now what I'm most excited for right now is Max Holloway against Conor McGregor in July 19, I think. It's gonna be an insane fight. Max Holloway is 34 years old, and Conor McGregor is 39. Yeah, they should both be retired. I mean, Max Holloway has CTE for days. The 4 days. And Conor McGregor is washed up. He has not fought for like 6 years, 7 years. Max Holloway is either gonna dog walk him or is gonna be knocked out in like first round. There's just no in between. Because you must understand that Conor McGregor is a fast starter. He's a very fast starter. He starts very fast and he ain't able to go into the 5 rounds, 3 rounds. Literally, he needs to walk it off. And at 39 years old, after having a lifetime of drugs abuse, he doesn't have the endurance he has anymore. He had before. Like the little cardio he had before, he doesn't even have it anymore because he has aged up and now he is way out of his prime. So we're gonna see what he's gonna do in the octagon on July 19th.
And then it was off the ending of baseball, I found fighting.
By the time the end of his 10th grade baseball season arrived, the sheer pressure of maintaining the grades required for a scholarship took its toll, and then he finally discovered fighting. Or rather, fighting discovered him. He started training in kickboxing with one of his best friends from school, and believe it or not, only 2 days after he started training, Max already had his first fight booked.
In 10th grade, I ended up, one of my good friends, this guy named Josh Keanu, he was training, he was fighting.
What the thing about Conor McGregor is he already has beaten Max Holloway, right? He knows how to beat Max Holloway. He knows his weakness. But at the same time, Max Holloway evolved from that fight and he became a different fighter. He became tougher, he became faster, he became more cocky, which is another thing. And I think either McGregor is gonna have to humble himself and learn from his previous mistake that he did in his previous fight, which was to always expect the best outcome, and now he should expect the baddest outcome. He should work off that and go fight, basically. But well, that's personally what I think. But Max Holloway is still like late prime. He's still in his prime because he's 34 years old. He is at the end of his prime. But the thing is, he has eaten enough shots to have CTE like 4 days. Honestly, it's gonna have a miracle for either of them to win. Honestly, I'm expecting a draw. I don't know why, but I'm expecting a draw or a split decision, because as you know, like one of them is a fast starter, and the other one is a slow starter. So either like McGregor is gonna fight him like in the first round and he's gonna knock him out, or Max Holloway is gonna tire McGregor out and finish him in like the 3rd round or 2nd round, because he is a slow starter and he's gonna have to pick off McGregor. Yeah.
So he said, oh yeah, come. So after baseball season, I remember it was a Wednesday, I went with him, trained, did the sparring, everything, did all right, because on Thursday I got asked if I wanted to fight on Saturday because he was fighting.
Oh, so your first day of training?
Yeah, and then they asked me, you want to fight? I was like, hell yeah. I was like, in my mind, it made perfect sense.
Or anything?
No, it made perfect sense because I was more scared of asking my grandparents for my grandma for $35 to go watch the fight. That's how much it cost. But then if I fought in it, it was gonna be the first fight. I get it for free, and you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
After that, he continued training and competing in kickboxing, hoping to one day be a part of K1. But even as he racked up 7 amateur kickboxing wins in a single year, financial freedom remained out of reach. And that's when the idea of competing in MMA came.
I remember BJ Penn was fighting George St. Pierre, and they released the money, like how much they was making. I think so. It said he was making like 40 or 60K. And I was like, bro, I need to do this.
Well, the thing about MMA it's not paid well. It's not paid as well as the other sports. Like for example, like McGregor at the top of his career made 1 million per fight, I think, or it was his contract, like 500 to show up and 500 to win, 1,000. Yeah, not enough. Honestly, McGregor was like one of the biggest influential person in the sports, and he had oh yeah, bye bye, and he had like negligible amounts of money. It was crazy. Like honestly, I don't know how he. I don't know. I don't know why they're not getting paid more. Like in boxing, like a middle of the echelon is gonna have like 50K per fight, which is insane. Okay, so yeah.
This is, but now we're here. 30. Find out 640, 60K is nothing. I was like, what is going on? We should have went to boxing or something.
Yeah,
He
that's
had
what I'm
his first
saying.
pro MMA bout in 2010, and within a year, he already had 4 wins under his belt. The sight of an undefeated 20-year-old making rounds in the regional scene was enough to catch the eye of the UFC. Even though the promotion generally prefers to hire athletes a little older, Holloway was given a late notice opportunity to face Dustin Poirier at UFC 143 when his original opponent Ricardo Lamas pulled out. The challenge, however, proved too much for Max. While Dustin would later become one of his most significant opponents, at the time, they were at very different stages. With 3 straight UFC wins, Poirier was surging, while Max was still finding his footing on the big stage.
I remember being in there and just thinking when Bruce was introducing me, like saying my name, like my knees was weak. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, bro, you can't be fainting, Max. You're on fucking TV. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what the hell? So a moment got to me, you know?
More than just a loss, a first-round submission defeat to Poirier showed him that he still had much to improve before reaching the top, and that is exactly what he did. Growing more accustomed to the bright lights, the still young Max Holloway went on a 3-fight win streak of his own in the promotion.
You know how hard it is to come back from a loss in the first UFC fight that you ever had? Like, hold on. Because in the UFC, if you do not win right away, you have a 50% chance of being let down immediately by Dana White. He's gonna say, okay, you didn't win? Goodbye, you made 10K. Now get out. Yeah, that's the thing. Because, like, in the UFC, like, it's very competitive, which is a good thing, but it's too much competition. Too much competition can be bad for you. Can be bad for the sport in general. Because, like, a sport like soccer, right? Everybody helps each other. Like, people can band together. But in the UFC, everyone is your enemy. There's not a single person you're gonna say, okay, he's my friend now and never gonna fight him. You're gonna fight him eventually. Like, Dana White's gonna come to you with a contract that says, okay, you gotta fight this guy. What the fuck? It's my friend. I don't wanna fight him. Well, it's the money fight. You gotta go. Or otherwise, you're gonna be let down. And now it's create more and more competition. More and more rivalry. Which is a good thing. It creates more views, but yeah, I don't think for the health of the sport it's a good thing.
The TKO win over Justin Lawrence officially put him on the map at featherweight, which meant by that time, competition would only get harder, and fans already could get a glimpse of his fighting style. He didn't have tremendous knockout power, nor elite grappling, but he had more than enough skill and endurance to outpace his opponents in the long run. And perhaps even more significant, he was always willing to take 1, to give 1, 2, maybe 3 back. So much so that at just 21 years old, he already held the UFC record for most strikes per minute. It could have been the turning point in Max's career, but at UFC 160, he would once again go back to the losing bracket. This time, not due to his own mistakes, but a near-unanimous bad call from the judges, who awarded Dennis Bermudez the split decision. And it would be some time before he picked up a win, because up next came the most defining loss of his career. Up next, Holloway was set to face none other than Conor McGregor. But much like Max was a different fighter back then, so was Conor. In fact, that fight happened so...
Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier, right? The the fight with Max Holloway and Conor McGregor. So I know it was like early in the career of Max Holloway, but I do think like maybe Conor can do it again. There's a possibility where Conor can do it again, right? It's a possibility, and I do think like he's gonna be able to do it again. Honestly, it's a big possibility. So yeah.
Early in each other's careers that it was the last time the Irishman wasn't at the main event of a UFC card. Neither of them was a star back then, just two up-and-comers looking to make it to the top. When they finally clashed, the bout was more competitive than history recalls. The first round and a half featured a well-contested stand-up fight, but while both fighters were landing, Conor had the clear power advantage. Still, Max was never truly rocked, which in itself is impressive because we've all seen what McGregor and his left hand went on to do in the following years. But after Conor tore his ACL in the middle of the second round, the fight shifted from a striking battle to a grappling one.
In that fight, the funny moment was he took me down, I was on, and then I had him in half guard, and he was passing, and I had like his ankle. And right when he had passed, I like hit, and like that's how he hurt his knee in the fight. He hurt his knee, and he screamed, he went, ah! Like a hurtful scream. So like to me, yeah. So I'm like in there, I'm on the bottom holding him. I was like, "Oh, you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, keep fighting, mate. Keep fighting."
he didn't.
Even after the injury, McGregor managed to take down and dominate Holloway in the third round. He was awarded the unanimous decision win and went on to make history in the sport. But for Max, this was the most significant crossroads of his career. Having 3 wins and 3 losses at the lower level of the division didn't make many people think Holloway could ever become a champion. His main shtick was being the youngest fighter on the roster, but without the performances to back it up, that can get old just as fast as age itself. He was already on a 2-fight skid. 1 or 2 more losses could very well mean the end of the road for Max, and to prevent that, something had to change.
Those 2 fights really meant a lot at that time in my career because it just made me like realize like how much I really gotta buckle down. I really had to do something.
And something definitely changed. Max's run after that is one of the most impressive win streaks in UFC history. He bounced back with a second-round TKO against Will Chope in January of 2014, and after that, the wins simply never stopped coming. Even more impressively, the young fighter, who wasn't known for stopping power, began finishing rounds left and right. He had 10 fights from 2014 to 2016, and out of all these opponents, the only ones who got to even see a judge's decision were Jeremy Stephens, Ricardo Lamas, and Cole Miller. The rest of them, Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson, and many more, all succumbed to Holloway before the final bell rang. It was around that time that Max also developed one of the most iconic moves in all of MMA. In the last 10 seconds of the round, he points to the middle of the octagon, throws all caution to the wind, and just goes to war.
Even Ricardo Lamas.
Now that is iconic. That is iconic. Look, who created who? We're gonna fight now. We're gonna fight here. I'm gonna beat your ass. Bro, I love it too. I love it too, okay? It's an insane thing to invent. Like, okay, there's 10 seconds left. We go into center of the ring and we just duke it out. Woo! Oh man, I love it. I love it. It's insane. It's insane, honestly. Like, I love it. I love it. Like, Max Holloway is a genius in marketing. I think it's a bad way to win, honestly, because you're gonna get CT. But for marketing and building up hype around your character, doing this move, bro, people eat that up. They see it online, they're gonna go, oh, he did the Max Holloway move. They're not gonna think, oh my god, this is tough. They're gonna think, oh, he's trying to copy Max Holloway, which is insane to think about. He invented that, which just means like, hey, come on, we're gonna duke it out. Bro, that guy is tough as fuck. Anyway.
You beat him all the rounds, and you do your signature. Now, is that just like, it's your thing, and you're just like, I'm mad now, we're gonna fight? Or you're like, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to see if you can knock me out. Come on, show me what you got.
With Ricardo Lamas, it was more of an angry thing. Because if you watch the fight, Ricardo, like towards the ending of the fight, like I was moving and making him miss in the ending of the fight, and like he did this 3 times. He went like this one time, and I was thinking like, what are you do? Like, now you want to fight? You know what I mean? I was thinking like, what? Now you want to fight? What's going on? And then the second time, he said something to me, and I was like, come on, this can't be real life. I'm thinking like, bro, I'm up. And this guy wasn't fighting this, like, he wasn't acting like this in the second or first round, you know. And then
defending the belt. While Conor chased high-profile fights against Nate Diaz and then the 155-pound belt, the featherweight division was left rudderless. Things only began to look like they were back on track when the UFC booked an interim title fight between Aldo and Frankie Edgar at UFC 200. With Aldo as the interim champ, the division at least had some semblance of order. Still, the UFC seemed oddly comfortable keeping McGregor's champion status, even though he wasn't competing at 145 anymore. That was until UFC 206 nearly fell apart. Max was scheduled to face former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis in the co-main event. Meanwhile, the main event was supposed to have Daniel Cormier defending his light heavyweight title against Anthony Johnson. But when DC pulled out,
What is that airline? Did you see that? Look at that airline! Look at it! Look!
defending
Just wanted
his
to
light
point that
heavyweight
out.
title against Anthony Johnson. But when DC pulled out at the last minute, Dana White had no choice but to promote Holloway versus Pettis for an interim belt, stripping McGregor in the process and making Jose Aldo the undisputed champion.
my focus is on Anthony Pettis, all of Anthony Pettis. But you know, at the end of the day, Aldo had the chance to fight. There's rumors of us fighting on 205, and then there was rumors of us fighting here at 206, and motherfucker kept saying no. So we see what happens. You know, it just makes, with all these things going on, just makes it super clear. You know, whoever wins this gets Aldo next, and everybody know how vocal I've been against Aldo. So everything go good, the road is straight, and Aldo's gonna be next.
When the date arrived, the long-awaited title fight between Pettis and Max lost some of its gleam. Still new to making 145 pounds, Pettis failed to make weight, which meant Holloway would be the only one eligible to win the interim belt. And when they met inside the cage, the weight cut issue most likely had an impact. Pettis started strong, but began to slow down as the second round came. Being tired in front of arguably the most durable fighter in the sport is a recipe for disaster, and Holloway made him pay for it, becoming the first man ever to finish Pettis in the UFC.
I don't finish guys early, you know. Everybody is like, oh, go in there, get a first round finish. That's just not what I do. And I like to take people in deep waters. I like to let them think that they can compete with me. And then all my finishes is later in the rounds. And I already knew, you know. Once I saw him miss weight, I was like, it's gonna be a long night, my friend, and it sure was.
Max Holloway had finally done it. Going from an often disregarded prospect to an interim champion was indeed no small feat, but it was the way he was doing it that felt special. It didn't matter if his opponents had more powerful punches, better BJJ, nothing. In the long run, none of them could outpace him. He was a champion, one fight away from becoming undisputed. He was in the big leagues now, and his road to greatness had only just begun. As soon as Max won the belt, everyone knew who his next opponent would be. Jose Aldo, not an ordinary champion, but one of the greatest fighters in history, would be next in line. The two had been trash-talking to it.
Look, it's kind of crazy how many legends were made by defeating Aldo. Like, if I had a coin for every time that somebody has beaten Aldo and became a legend, right now I would have two, but it's kind of crazy that it happened twice, right? And both of them are related to Conor McGregor in some way, right? I did boxing for like 3 years. I did MMA for 2 years. Like, I don't know the name of most of the submission. I just do them. But yeah, I'm not really a good wrestler. That I will say. I don't understand any of the techniques. But I am a pretty good striker. I knocked out like two people during my 5 fights that I did. In boxing, I did 10 fights and I knocked out, I think, 6 people. But it was by accident, you know, because I wasn't supposed to knock him out. I was supposed like to take them to a decision by my coach, but like, yeah, it didn't really happen the way he wanted. So
each other for months now. Holloway, the up-and-coming contender, never lost an opportunity to challenge the King of Rio. But Aldo was in a weird place in his career. After losing to McGregor in dramatic fashion, he started beefing with the UFC, arguing that he had done much more than enough to earn an immediate rematch. So much so that he even threatened to retire if the organization didn't do right by him. In this stalemate between Aldo and the UFC, Holloway, who had long been the rightful contender, understandably felt left aside.
It's hard to find the guy, you know, like I said, you know, hashtag Jose, where's Jose Waldo, and let me know when you find him, you know, teamwork is the dream work, you know, if more of us is looking for him, we're gonna find him together, but we see what happens, you know, I don't know, I don't want to give up my son's birthday and Christmas for February 11th and he don't show up, you know, this guy has an act for not showing up to the fight, so we see what happens.
A few months later, the fight was finally settled.
Oh, I already did Muay Thai. That was my kickboxing experience actually. I didn't do fighting during my Muay Thai during my Muay Thai days. What I did was a lot of sparring, and I did lose my sparring. That I will say, because man, these kids they were tough, man. Like you don't know, like the kids of the coach fought there since they were 3 years old. I was like 7 at the time, and I had to fight them like in the ring. Like I was getting pieced up. Like they were like Hadi Combat Club, like going to Thailand. Well, I don't know. Like there is a lot of disease there. Like if you really like want to have like the full Muay Thai experience, well, go to Thailand. I'm not stopping you. Like, but I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed to learn Muay Thai. Muay Thai, you can just go to a local dojo and learn it. Like it's not that complicated. The thing that is different about Thailand is the conditioning. Like they're gonna take you through deep water, man. Deep water. They're gonna take you to dark places because they're gonna teach you like all of the regular thing, you know, like the knees, the elbows, the strikes. It ain't that complicated. But the thing that is different about American or European Muay Thai is their conditioning. They won't take you like in the mountains before going to work out. They're gonna say, okay, go take a lap around the dojo and then we're gonna start. They're not gonna say, okay, before starting, go do 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers? 5 fucking kilometers? What the fuck do you mean 5 kilometers? I don't want to do 5 kilometers. I don't want to do 5 kilometers in the morning. And that's the thing, because you're gonna be working out all day. You're gonna be working out all day. 2 5 kilometers workout. I think I saw one time. Insane. Like 100 knee strike on the back, 100 elbow strike on the back, 500 push up, 500 sit ups. Bro, I know it ain't that much, but still, like first thing into the morning, 5 kilometers. You really want to do that? Like I didn't have to do it because I was gifted, apparently. But yeah, no. By the way, it was crazy that I got like knocked out because like it's only like 3 rounds, like amateur boxing. Like amateur boxing, it's like 3 rounds, and most of them like I won by knockout, like half of them. You know how crazy that is? Like I got insanely lucky.
Holloway would face his toughest challenge yet in his opponent's hometown, no less. The featherweight unification bout happened on UFC 212 in Rio de Janeiro. It took only a few seconds before the Brazilian started asserting his dominance. He landed strong punches and knees on Holloway from the get-go, clearly winning the first and second rounds. If it were any other man in front of Aldo that night, the Brazilian would definitely cruise his way to yet another victory. But Holloway, well, he wasn't going anywhere.
What I saw was a
except
spider slowly spinning a web, and it wasn't that big in the first round. Spinning the web in the second round, and it was bigger, and you could now not unsee it, but it wasn't enough to catch prey. But by the third round, it was way too big. It was way too big, and the fly, or whatever the bug analogy you want to use, got caught in it. That's how I look at it. To me, is that one got hurt, one insect was over there doing what it was doing, and the other one was just slowly spinning this web. And by the time the third round came around, he had it dead to rights.
While Conor defeated the Brazilian with a flash knockout in 13 seconds, Holloway took everything he had and still stopped him in the third round. By this time, we hadn't really seen someone doing that to Aldo. It truly felt like the passing of the torch. Now, featherweight had a new king, and this time, he was willing to stick around and defend the title.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. King Max is here, guys. Bless era. Welcome.
It didn't take long for the UFC to book a rematch. Only
Bless
a while
Terra.
later, Aldo would finally get the chance to rematch someone who took the title from him. But it turns out, the fight played out exactly like the first one.
When I saw him in that second Aldo fight, I'm like, Jesus, he's so much better than he was before. He yelled at the end of the first round. He looked over at us, and he goes, "The man's tired!" Like, at the end of the first round, I was like, Jesus. He was,
That's awesome.
And Aldo was throwing bricks at him. He was really throwing hard in that first round.
Once again, the Brazilian started strong, and just like last time, Max took over in the later rounds, finishing the contest in an even more brutal TKO.
Max Holloway, once again, third round TKO is almost identical to the first fight. I mean, what can you say about this guy? 12 wins in a row, and now he's the only guy to ever beat Aldo twice. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Incredible. The way he fought tonight, the way he walked him down, tried to break him mentally and physically was incredible. I mean, he looked like a stud tonight and was willing to put himself in harm's way. He got hit with some big shots that he didn't need to get hit with either, just to prove that he could walk through them. It was
Bruh.
badass.
As good as he looked in both fights, he still took a lot of punches to the head. Aldo racked up over 250 significant connections on Holloway across both fights. We've seen fighters weaponizing cardio and grit before, but Max took that gameplay into a whole other level. But if in MMA, every strike is a debt, we'd soon get an early sign that the bill was coming due. The next few months were quite eventful for Holloway. He nearly got to face Khabib Nurmagomedov on short notice after Tony Ferguson pulled out, but was ultimately stopped by the commission from cutting the necessary weight. Moving back to 145, the next contender in line was Brian Ortega, an undefeated dangerous BJJ artist who posed a real threat. The contest was originally slated for UFC 226 in July 2018, but when fight week came,
Bro. You know who that guy remind me of? Wait a second. Let me search it up. Like in Detroit Become Human. Look at this guy. Same fucking thing. Anyway.
was originally slated for UFC 226 in July 2018, but when fight week came, something seemed off.
Well, Max, you say you feel great, and, don't be offended when I say this, but you look like you just got out of bed. Are you tired? What's going on? How's the weight cut? Are you drained? I mean, you look a little sleepy.
I'm good, man. I'm good. A little bit tired. They got me doing a bunch of media stuff, but I'll be fine, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to go out there and do that.
Good to know. As I say, no offense, but you just look like, you're ready to fall asleep on me there.
He came across as drowsy, exhausted, and at times almost intoxicated in interviews. And it didn't take long before we all knew what happened.
He was showing concussion-like symptoms before he even started his weight cut and was rushed to the ER on Monday, where they admitted him overnight. Initial scans seemed okay, and he was released Tuesday afternoon, but symptoms still continued. Max fought with his team to continue with the fight. He showed some improvement over the next day, but was still showing obvious symptoms. After open workouts, he crashed, and this is where it gets a little scary, Sean. After open workouts, he crashed and was very hard to wake up. When he did, he had flashing vision and slurred speech. He is now back in the ER.
Yeah, so honestly, weight cutting should be banned. Honestly, it should be banned, right? Like it's like legalized cheating, which hurts the longevity of your fighter, makes them more prone to have CTE, makes them more prone to be knocked out, which makes legs. But yeah, so there's less exciting fight. There's less longevity for your fighter. Honestly, what they should do is ban weight cutting completely. Like the dehydration technique is insane. Like I don't care if you like starve yourself, but like don't dehydrate yourself. Your brain needs it. It needs it. Like, just go make them hydrate. Something, I don't know. Because, like, yeah. Fuck off. Thank you for the hydrates. But yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I gotta go to the toilet now because of you. Toilet. Didn't see you there. Didn't see you there. Little guy. Well, okay, let's go.
For further tests.
Pulling out due to an injury is one thing, but when it follows an emergency room visit for suspected brain trauma, the story takes on a darker weight. And while Max was still young, he already had dozens of fights under his belt. Perhaps even more worrisome, his fighting style left him more prone to taking damage, as he was among the most hit fighters in the sport. Concussions are no small matter. Careers have ended because of that. Just look at guys like Gary Goodridge or TJ Grant. So when he was rushed not once, but twice to the hospital, everyone feared for the worst. The bout was cancelled, and a few days later, Max was looking and sounding like his old self. We never got to find out exactly what happened to him. He later claimed he could have been poisoned by a contaminated substance.
And we plan on suing somebody, so there's there's a bunch of stuff that I really can't talk about. And that's why he's squirming back there. You know, I probably shouldn't be talking about it too much, but that's what it is. It was something that I consumed, and
like a supplement.
I don't even know if I can tell you.
But while we don't know if he was really concussed or not, what we do know is that his approach to brain damage changed considerably after this event. After a few months, the Ortega fight was finally happening. Following the ER scare, no one knew what version of Max we'd see in the octagon, and to the surprise of most, it turns out we saw one of his best ever performances.
Max Holloway threw 196 significant strikes, and he landed 134 of them. You want to know how ridiculous that is? Let me give you a number for context here, if I may. For Max Holloway, he's never thrown volume like that. His total volume of strikes in the second Aldo fight was 174. What is the point here? Literally, that number, 134, is more than he's landed in any single fight in UFC history for himself, except for one.
While Max's fights generally involve a feeling out period.
What the fuck? That is insane! What the fuck? Fuck you mean 134 in a single round? Bro, I have UFC 5 on my PS5 and I can't even like land 60 in a fucking video game. How the fuck does he make that more than twice as that and landing them too? He has thrown 160 strikes and landed 134. Do you know how much volume that is? That is insane.
That night, he decided
Insane
Ortega
was
was
insane
gonna
once.
eat it. It was a masterful, complete domination from the opening bell. Holloway did not give up a single round to Brian Ortega, giving him the beating of a lifetime while at it. Believe it or not, he was so ahead in the fight that he even took the time to teach his opponent how to defend some punches.
The Ortega
Oh, that
thing
was
is grab
iconic.
his hand and kind of teach him how to
Yeah,
block.
I was just telling him, brother, you know, I don't know who your coach is, but this is where he belongs. And then I threw a punch. I was like, see?
Alex, do you not know that? Bro. There's a moment where Max
Iconic.
grabs his hand and places it here, and he's like, leave it there, so I don't keep punching you in the side of your head.
Just like that, he had his second title defense. He was one of the best fighters in the world.
Bro. His marketing is insane! Again! Like, he teach someone how to block in the middle of a round. He was like I couldn't, but man, he teach someone how to block in the middle of a round. Do you know how disrespectful that is? And the thing is, it is disrespectful, but he probably meant it in like a respectful way, which is even more insulting, right? Like, bro, wait a second. You do know, like, keep your hands there, right? Like, I'm punching you, right? Keep your hands to your head. Bro, just block. Like, I landed 134 punches. Why are you not still blocking? Why are you still letting me punch you? Like, 134 punches in the 3rd round.
So high that he even went up a division to rematch Dustin Poirier for the interim lightweight belt. But perhaps that was too big a jump at the time. When he moved to 155, he looked scrawny when compared to Poirier, who had already been competing at that weight for a few years. And while he showed the same endurance and ability to take shots that we grew accustomed to, it was clear that Poirier's punches were affecting him a lot more than the other way around.
You know, I have no injuries from the fight, bumps and bruises, of course. My hands hurt from hitting Max so much. He's so durable, so tough. He's a great champion. My left bicep hurts a little bit. I might need to get that checked out. I don't know if I pulled something, but other than that, I feel good.
He went up a weight class, got hit harder than usual, and the punches were getting more of a reaction than usual. On paper, all that damage should be racking up, but in his return to featherweight against Frankie Edgar a few months later, it was like he never left. While the bout wasn't as explosive and action-packed as the Aldo and Ortega fights, Holloway still managed to outperform one of the most technical featherweights of his time. At 145, it seemed like he had the cardio, power, and will to beat everyone, but up next, Max would meet the biggest rival of his career. While all of that was happening, Alexander Volkanovski was making his way to the top. He was undefeated in the UFC and presented a real challenge for the champion. After all, Max had already dealt with the old guard of featherweight, dispatching Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo. Much like himself, Volk embodied the new age of MMA.
His last fight against Ortega, you know, he could have took way less damage, but he purely just loves the fight. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I can swear. He loves to fight, so, you know, that's just his style, but I just don't think that's a good, you know, that's not a good game plan against someone like me.
They first met at UFC 245. Max came in as a heavy favorite, but right off the bat, fans could see that the challenger presented a real threat. Volk started off strong, landed kicks and using his deceptive reach to keep Max at bay. The Australian broke the record for most leg kicks landed in a fight that night, and that played a huge role in cutting down Holloway's best weapons, his pressure, and volume. As usual, Max picked up the pace on the championship rounds, but Volkanovski's lead was already too large. It was Holloway's first loss at featherweight since the Conor McGregor fight. In a sense, Volkanovski's style was everything Holloway's wasn't. While still extremely technical, the Australian wasn't afraid to be methodical, and he had little interest in the old take one to give one back philosophy. He lost the belt, but this chapter was far from over.
Listen, I have nothing but respect for Max Holloway and how tough and talented he is, and Volkanovski won that fight.
I know you don't make matchups the night of, but obviously Holloway might be the best featherweight of all time. There were 248-47 scorecards. Fight was probably not that close, but would you consider an instant rematch for him?
Rematch, Australia.
All right, well, there we go.
There you go.
The rematch was quickly set in place only a short while later. Holloway and Volkanovski met once again at UFC 251, and Max seemed ready to settle the score. He made brilliant adjustments after losing the last fight. He narrowed his stance to neutralize Volkanovski's low kicks and came out on fire. Max dropped Volk with a head kick in the first round, and in the second, he scored another knockdown with
What a knockout! I mean, knockdown. What the fuck? Look at this.
an uppercut. But oddly enough, with a head kick and stance to neutralize
Bro, it's picking
Volkanovski's
him
low kicks,
apart.
he came out on fire. Max dropped Volk with a head kick in the first round, and in the second, he scored another knockdown with an uppercut. But oddly enough, it was the Australian who gained steam as the fight went on. While Holloway decisively won the first two, the other 3 rounds were very close. Still, when the final bell rang, most people thought Max had done enough to reclaim his belt. But the judges had a different decision.
These guys have fought twice now, 10 rounds, a total of 6 judges, and 5 of them say Volkanovski won. I saw something different. The first time I thought that Max won, and I definitely saw something different tonight. Look, I had it 3 rounds to 2 Max.
For Max, that was a bitter pill to swallow. In theory, he came back from adversity and adapted to an opponent who had already beaten him. And even the UFC president disagreed with the decision.
Listen, man, you can't leave it. You can't leave it to these guys. We got some bad judging. And
Yeah, that's the thing. Like in the UFC, like you have a 50-50% chance to have like bad judges. Like straight up, like the judges in MMA are oftentimes like they either don't understand or like have not really dabbled in the sports. Like because we sit around, we see him like drop him like 5 times, and they're gonna say like, yeah, like most of the time, like when there is a controversial decision, Mostly because of the judges. It's not because Herb Dean is gonna like stop the fight at the wrong time, you know? It's always because of those damn judges. Did I hear that right?
Differential. Historic break near. Coming off a controversial loss, a highly motivated Holloway used Cater as a canvas to break nearly every major UFC striking record in existence. He landed a historic 445 significant strikes and set a plus 312 striking differential. To put that beating in context, it produced one of the most lopsided scorecards in modern MMA history, with 3 judges scoring about 50-43, 50-43, and 50-42, all for Holloway. That night, he had a point to prove.
445! Do you know how insane that is? 400 punches, and all of them are significant strikes. Are you fucking insane? What the fuck? And the other guy didn't drop. Yeah, so Conor McGregor might die. He might die. Yeah, Conor McGregor may be fucked. He may be fucked. Like, everything I said before, to throw it out the window. Like, I think at the time, like, he was 30. Like, so it's 4 years later. More experience. I don't think, like, he lost any of that strength. But, holy fuck. Holy fuck. 445 punches landed. That guy is superhuman. That guy is not real. That can't be real. Broski, I don't think you understand. Okay? He has beaten, like, 5 records in one night. That doesn't happen. But it just did. So I cannot even say that. It just don't happen. Buddy, it's crazy. Crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Me and him, we're on the top, on the higher end of the pound-for-pound ranking list, you know? He's the champ. I'm number 1 in our own rankings in the featherweight, and fights like this don't happen, you know. In the last decade, I don't know if you can remember. I only can remember one, you know. And that's DC and Jones, 100%. So to have this again, you know, this is a huge fight.
He needed a statement to push for a trilogy against Volkanovski, and that was exactly what he delivered. After one more win against Yair Rodriguez, Holloway was finally ready to challenge the champion once again. The stage was set for the final encounter between Max and Volkanovski. By then, Volk was already a proven champion. He had defended his belt multiple times, and even went up in weight to give Islam Makhachev his toughest championship fight to date. It was his last chance to get one back at the man who had already beaten him twice. Tensions were running high during the week for UFC 276.
Bring the heat! I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat.
He is the heat. He is the heat.
You're about to see, brother. I am the heat, brother. I am the heat, brother.
But this time, Volkanovski made sure there was nothing left to debate. The trilogy bout was a total one-sided shutout by Volkanovski. There was zero controversy this time, as all 3 ringside judges scored the bout a perfect 50-45 sweep for the champion.
Nobody does that to Max Holloway.
Dude.
And he was already in 10 tense close rounds with Holloway, and he just beat the This is not a disrespectful thing, I can't believe I'm saying it. He beat the piss out of Max Holloway.
Dude, he dummied him.
Max Holloway lost more than just a fight that night. He lost the chance to reclaim his title, ended the rivalry with Volk with 3 losses, and most importantly, found himself relegated to 3rd in the featherweight GOAT debate. He continued competing and winning at 145 for a couple of fights, but as long as Volkanovski was the champion, Max was bound to be just a glorified gatekeeper. His options were slowly fading into obscurity until a younger contender came to take his place, or come up with something really special to bounce back. And then he came up with arguably the biggest moment in MMA history.
Oh yeah.
Gaethje became the BMF.
Yeah. I remember that time. I remember it like yesterday. He did a special move where he pointed to the ground and then he knocked out Justin Gaethje in the last round. I think it was the last round. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. Like Justin Gaethje, just is like insane too. So of course he's gonna take the chance to duke it out with Max Holloway. Bro, he dropped him like in the last 10 seconds. Insane. I was insane once.
champion after defeating Dustin Poirier sometime before. And with Max's lack of purpose at 145, the opportunity for him to go up in weight to fight for that belt came on the main card of UFC 300. Usually the BMF belt means close to nothing, but we're talking about Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. If there was ever a duo that embodied the beautiful violence the sport has to offer, that'd be it. And sure, it was a big risk. Max's last venture into 155 resulted in a decisive defeat to Dustin Poirier. Now he was against another top lightweight and one of the hardest punchers ever at that weight class. But if he managed to pull it off, it could be the defining moment of his career.
Can you imagine if he did this? Like, just you talking about him, imagining him going in there. Because a lot of people, I think, would point to that second Poirier fight and be like, well, he didn't have the size, he couldn't do this. So if you're stuck on that kind of thing, he's an underdog, and I think he is a literal underdog in this fight. But if he's able to go in there and do that, can you imagine?
This time he came in heavier and packing more muscle, seemingly a lot more prepared for the challenge. Even in the most hyped card to date, Gaethje versus Holloway was arguably the most popular contest among the fans. And when the cage finally shut, something spectacular happened. Max delivered yet another striking clinic despite being against a bigger and more dangerous opponent. In the very first round, he landed a spinning back kick that shattered Gaethje's nose, and while the fight remained contested throughout, Holloway was clearly winning on the scorecards. When the fifth round was close to being done, he could very well just coast to an easy decision victory, but he didn't get where he is by not taking chances. He didn't care that he had a guy as dangerous as Justin in front of him. He still walked to the center of the cage, pointed down, and gave his opponent a chance, even if he didn't want to. Gaethje obviously obliged, and what happened next is certainly engraved into every MMA fan's mind forever.
Get his ass! Cheese, get his ass! He must die! Thank you, Cheese. Thank you, Cheese. Thank you, Cheese.
At the very last second of the final round, Holloway knocked Gaethje out cold. It went down in history as perhaps the most iconic moment ever in MMA. It's strange how the story goes. He lost 3 title fights against Volkanovski, and after one fight for a decorative belt, he was bigger than ever.
I say it's the greatest knockout of all time. The reason why I say it's the greatest knockout of all time was because everybody thought that Justin was going to be overpowering you. He was a bigger guy. He had just knocked out Dustin Poirier. You had lost the last fight to Volkanovski. You hadn't been in title contention since then. You had a bunch of great wins, but here you're going to fight this bigger guy, and all these people were writing you off. All these people were saying that it did, and you're tuning him up, and you did have to overcome getting knocked down, and you did have adversity. You had to deal with that leg, and then for you to stand winning 4 rounds to 1 in the middle of the octagon and point at the ground with 10 seconds left, and then to knock him out with 1 second left.
He became so popular that the UFC granted him another shot at the featherweight title shortly after that. Ilia Topuria had just dethroned Volkanovski, which in turn paved the way for Max's 4th chance as a title challenger. At this point, Holloway already had one of the most successful careers we've ever seen. But that's not to say the years have been kind to him. Fighting always takes a toll, and after crossing the 30-year-old line, injuries start to add up. And despite being a part of countless wars, he was never knocked out or finished with strikes. Not for a lack of trying. Holloway is the fighter who has absorbed the most strikes in history, but even granite chins eventually get cracked.
You already know how it feels when you have to bounce back. You already have a 7 professional defeat. I had 0. So you're gonna do it once again really well. I don't have any doubts about that. You are a great example of that, and you have to stay like that.
I took a lot of people's donuts, bro. I hope you like churros, because you're about to get one come October 26th, buddy.
October 26th, the only thing I'm gonna do is to take you lights out and then party with all my people, with all my team. That's what I'm gonna do. And still, this is what's gonna happen. I don't need to believe. I first of all believe, and then I see. So I don't have any doubts that I will be the first one to knock you out.
Ilia Topuria was, by all means, a nightmare matchup, a striker with the kind of power and precision that featherweights had never truly seen before, and when the fight happened, he proved just how special he was. Max
Bro, are you serious?
used his reach and volume to keep it competitive. By the end of the second round, the judges' official scorecards had it completely split. One judge had it 20-18 Topuria, one had it 20-18 Holloway, and the third had it even at 19-19. But in the third round, Ilia cracked Max with a right hand and then finished the contest with a left hook. 34 fights, 15 years in the making, and the damage had finally caught up with Max Holloway.
A lot of people thought I was up on the scorecards before that left hook from hell landed, you know? So I made the walk. I knew what I signed up for, and that's what happened, you know? Ilia was just a better man that night. That's just it, you know?
Yeah.
He was a better man that night. It was his night, and, you know, hats off to him. Does it sting? Does it hurt? Of course. I'm a human. That's what humans do, you know, but it's trial by error. I got knocked down before. I get right back up, you know. I've literally, this is the first time me getting knocked out literally on stat-wise, but we come back, man. We come back every time.
This was also the last time we saw him competing at featherweight, but since moving to 155, he's had a bittersweet run. While he won a trilogy bout against a soon-to-be retired Dustin Poirier, he later lost his BMF title after getting completely dominated by Charles Oliveira in his next fight. Max Holloway honestly had one of the most interesting careers in the UFC. Fans pretty much got to see him grow and evolve alongside the sport. From a 20-year-old kid just looking to belong to one of the best to ever do it, his run was nothing short of phenomenal. He endured punishment to achieve greatness. The duality is undeniable. The fighter with the most strikes is also the one who absorbed the most shots. However, that's not to say his story is over just yet. Perhaps any other fighter would be ready to call it quits, but Max, well, he always goes to the end, and his next fight may be the one to thrust him straight back into the spotlight.
Conor McGregor is going to return to the UFC. This will be in July for UFC 329, International Fight Week, July 11th in Las Vegas. He is going to be fighting for the second time, a rematch from many years ago when they were very different fighters.
Max used his will and grit to achieve greatness. Meanwhile, Ilia Topuria's seemingly infinite self-belief led him to become one of the most dangerous fighters today. If you'd like to know more about El Matador, watch this video next.
The most delusional UFC fighter of all time. Bruh. Okay, I gotta go for a second and then I'm gonna come back. If you like the video, well, go like it and subscribe. Okay, bye bye.